Hi, so I'm about to make some pizza dough, sourdough pizza dough. Every time I go to make this, either the kitchen's a mess or I'm a mess or I'm busy or I'm doing it at night time or something. As it is, the washing machine's going, kids are in and out, the dog is banging on that door. So we're gonna get it done as quickly as we can. But this recipe is adapted by Natasha's Kitchen on YouTube. I have kind of made it easier because I'm all about easier. Can you hear the dog? So into this bowl you need, might adjust the camera. So into your bowl you want to put 100 grams of happy, bubbly, fed starter. And then you want to put 335 mils of water. I always use filtered water. It just makes for better everything. 12 grams of salt and 500 grams of plain flour. I just use very basic plain flour from Costco. It's $1 a kilogram. I actually put it in the wrong bowl. I was supposed to put it in the KitchenAid bowl so that I could mix it and take that job off my hands. So you mix it on a low speed for about 3 minutes, or if you don't have a KitchenAid, then just by hand for 5 minutes is fine. This is what it looks like when it's been mixed for quite a while. And then you just want to put it aside in a warm place, not too warm, for about 5 hours. I just pop a plate on top so that the air doesn't dry it out. And here is my little handwritten recipe if you wanted to take a screenshot. Okay, so that has been sitting for about 5 hours. It's looking like this. It doesn't double as much as your bread loaf would double because we keep it in the fridge for a while. The reason I love the pizza dough recipe is because I make up 4 little pizza dough balls and I keep them in the fridge. You can keep them in the fridge for up to a week, and then when we're really hungry and I don't know what to make, I'm like, I've got a dough ready to go. I just whack it on a tray with some tomato paste and whatever's in the fridge, and we have a meal. So this is one of my favorite things to make with sourdough for that reason. So we're going to divide it into 4 and pop them in these containers, and I'll show you how. So just lightly dust your counter, and then using a dough scraper, you don't have to use a dough scraper, but it does make life a little bit easier. You plop it onto your counter. Today this dough was particularly sticky and stretchy, so it was a bit harder to work with. It was sitting in the sun for a while though. So just kind of fold it on top of itself to make a uniform shape, and then divide it roughly into 4 pieces. It definitely doesn't have to be perfect in any way. As you can see, I have very roughly divided it into 4 pieces. I have my little containers all labeled up and ready to go, and you oil them up with some olive oil so that the dough ball can just easily plop out when you're ready to use it, and that helps to maintain the bubbles and keep your pizza dough nice and fluffy. Also oil up your hands and it's good for your hands too. Olive oil, it's like a little moisturizer. I just kind of fold it on top of itself a few times to create some air pockets while it sits in the fridge, and that helps again make those bubbles when you're making the pizza dough. So I do that for all of them. I'm saving one of these to make right now to show you, but ultimately it's better if you can leave them in your fridge for at least a day to continue rising. But I'll show you the difference between one that I cook without letting it rise and one that I do let it rise for quite a few days. So this one I'm making straight away. Instead of rolling it, like tip here, never use a rolling pin. I have tried and it makes it so very flat, but I just kind of use gravity to let it stretch itself out into the shape that you want. They're kind of a small pizza size if you're dividing it into 4, but it's easier to work with that way. Pop whatever toppings you want on it. This one was a side dish for our kind of meat and salad meal for the night, so it was just a very plain basil and mozzarella pizza. So you can see that it's not very fluffy, this one. I'll cut it and you'll see more. So it's quite a flat dough. That's because I didn't let it rise longer in the fridge for the sake of the video. But I'll show you when I prepared earlier. No, when I did a bit later in the week. So you can compare and see the difference. It was yummy nonetheless. So the day you put the dough in the fridge, it looks like this. And then a few days later, here it is all with lots of bubbles and air pockets. Much nicer, and it can stay in there for about a week. So this is how fluffy it is when you've left it in the fridge for a little while. Extra delicious and very handy to have. Once again, I forgot to record an outro, but I hope you've enjoyed this video.